Community, how's everybody doing? So this is my first family caregiver video of 2026, and I've had some experience that I want to share with you. So this is a PSA, but it's to you about you specifically. It's not about a facility, it's not about a process, it's about you and your mental health. So if you're multitasking as you're watching this video, I would respectfully ask you to stop and completely engage on what I'm about to share with you. Okay, let me ask you this. Do you find yourself constantly feeling tired, irritable? You feel like you're losing yourself all the while you're looking after someone that you care about? And if you are, what if I told you that these aren't normal things associated with caregiving, but they're actually silent alarms? Your body's trying to tell you that you're headed towards a crisis. Caregiver burnout is not a myth. It is a creeping shadow that robs your joy, robs your energy, and eventually it incapacitates you to the point where you're no longer able to provide the care, the advocacy, the support that you normally would. So, look, in this video, I'm going to share with you three often overlooked warning signs, big red flags that you are headed towards a crisis. Okay. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. You're speeding that way. And they're so subtle. They're so passive. But once they got a hold to you, it's hard to escape. Frankly, these warning signs, ignoring them any longer is not an option. Okay. Let's get into it. So, red flag number one, invisible erosion. Listen, that feeling of being perpetually on call, even in your sleep, is not normal at all. Okay. It is a critical warning sign that burnout is starting to chip away at you. And I had no idea how much I was feeding into this when, as I would go to bed at night, I would put an earbud in my ear. So, God forbid, I get the late night phone call or the late night text or some type of notification that, hey, something such needs your attention, because I'm trying to be there for the person that I'm supposed to care for, but at the same time I'm trying to make sure I don't disturb my wife's sleep. And I had no idea at the time that all I was doing was just creating an environment, and actually the environment was created, but I was feeding into that environment of erosion. Okay. And we often feed into this type of behavior as being part of the job, but debilitating fatigue that no amount of rest can fix is actually a big red flag. And it's just your body trying to alert you that it needs help. And what comes with that is this sense of detachment where you're present physically, but emotionally, no, you're not there. You're just going through the motions. You're just coasting, you know, and all the while, well, think of it like your car. Your car has a cooling system. And so you keep going, keep going. You need antifreeze. The needle's going over to the red all the time. It's itching its way closer to the point where it's at the dead end. And what happens? Usually you get some type of notification, whether it's visual, auditory. You think about that type of warning happening in an individual, that's stroke, heart attack, breakdown, some type of emotional crash. Note the key word, crash. Okay. So you have to be wary of that. You have to take better care of yourself. That is a classic burnout symptom that you have to be wary of, because not only does it impact you, but it impacts those around you. Number two, decoding that emotional static. And what I mean by that is that, sudden irritability, or any type of blown fuse, especially over things that are trivial, that's not being in a bad mood. That's another warning sign that your internal rhythm is completely out of whack. Okay. And I told you, I'm a type A personality. I don't have a lot of patience when it comes to foolishness, and I hate to repeat myself. And so that, and I think I mentioned this, like over the summer, I had this awakening, this realization, I should say, rather, where I knew I needed to work on my behavior. I needed to work on giving myself grace and giving others grace, especially being a part of the situation that I was in and having the responsibility that I have to look after the care of someone else. A lot of questions, a lot of phone calls, a lot of patience needed. I would warn you that if you find yourself not finding joy in the things that are normally your hobbies. For me, that was sitting at my drum kit playing. And I think maybe I posted one or two videos of me and my kid. One of them was kind of crazy because it was the heat of the heat, and I never found this video from Soul Train that I plugged in, and that actually ended up being pretty cool. But that loss of pleasure, though, that you experience when you can't turn to that one thing that used to always rescue you from being so down that you couldn't lift yourself up, that's another warning sign. That's another red flag that you are emotionally exhausted. And along with that comes the constant guilt trap, that you're not doing enough, even though you're giving everything. You're doing everything you can think of. You're doing everything that, you're being counseled to do. It's a passive self-criticism that we place upon ourselves, that we constantly put ourselves through. It's really just masking the emotional toll that this circumstance that we continue to ignore is having on us. You need to be healed, okay? Because what I'm talking about here is not taking five, find a place to relax, finding your zone. I'm talking about being healed because you've already gone past all the other things, right? You've blown through those stop signs already. So you have to manage that stress a lot better. Lastly, I want to talk to you about number three, and that is the body's urgent whispers. Listen, if you're having digestive issues, if you are suffering from headaches, if you are experiencing, sudden constant colds, right? Those aren't normal. Those are key indicators that your body is manifesting the burnout that you're feeling in a physical way. You take it a step further and you look at changes in your sleep patterns. You have insomnia, but you can't get any sleep. You are getting sleep, but it's unrefreshing sleep. Okay. Those are key indicators that your internal rhythm is completely out of whack. And let's say you have a growing sense of exertion or muscle soreness without any type of physical activity whatsoever. Okay. That is like an indicator that chronic stress is just locking up your system. I used to get that neck pain, shoulder pain, knee pain, ankle pain, back pain. It's like every time I turn around. And here's the key trigger. I think I spent roughly, or have spent roughly 60,000 miles in a car sitting on my ass. Okay. Most people get their oil changes every few months, every 5,000 miles. The kid was doing it every couple of weeks. Okay. To the point where my mechanic was like, hey, man, I'm seeing you too much. What's going on? Right. But I'm laughing because, I told you I find humor in things. It's just self depreciating humor. Ignore it. It's not meant to be offensive. Nonetheless, this growing, you have these growing sense of pains without any type of exertion. It's just another key indicator that chronic stress is, gnawing at your system and it's begging you to release it. So, you have to be aware of your body signals. And here's the other thing, too. You have to be willing to listen and accept feedback because whether it's subtle or not, we all express things in different ways. And so if your partner is telling you, hey, I want you to slow down, or if your friend is saying, hey, man, I'm noticing this and I need you to slow down, take it to heart, okay? Because people care about you, right? I'm sharing this because I don't know you and I care about you too. I don't want to see this happen to anyone else. And for me, I'm fortunate. I've told you before, I've got a great support system, but at the same time, I'm human. And I just wanted to make sure that I shared this because somebody out there might be going through the same thing. So now you got the information. What are you going to do about it? I know what I'm doing about it. I'm making changes. I have made changes and I'm continuing to stay on the path. Okay. But I would just encourage you, if this has been helpful, right? If you found this beneficial or, relatable in any way, share it with someone that you know who needs help. Okay. And I would encourage you to do that before you even like or subscribe. Okay. Because it's important. At the end of the day, that's what's most important. Like I said, you keep lifting as you climb. So this is how I do it. And if you do happen to find this type of content helpful, come back for more. All right. Thanks for your time. Stay healthy out there. Keep lifting as you climb. But above all, before you try to lift and continue to climb, just make sure you're healthy. All right. Take care.